G'day legends, and welcome back to the channel. In this video, I wanted to have a little bit of a chat about the artificial elephant that's in the room. You know what I'm talking about. AI. AI, particularly in music production. I wanted to share my thoughts on it, kind of like what I think works, what I think's cool, what I think's not very cool. Just kind of, I guess, where I sort of stand with AI at the moment in music production. Now, I also want to open this up as a bit of a discussion as well. So please drop your comments down below. Let me know kind of where you stand with AI, if you like it, if you don't like it, but keep the conversation civil. Like, it's all right to have different opinions on stuff, but we don't need to attack each other about it either. So be kind in the comments, but I do want to hear what you guys think about this subject. So AI is something that I have been exploring on this channel over the last couple of years as the whole thing's been kind of growing in this space. I've definitely taken an interest in checking it out and seeing what this stuff can do. And perhaps that's how you even got subscribed to this channel, through one of those videos where we explored some AI. Now, AI music production for me is not really like black and white. It's not like a yes or no. I feel like there's just a lot of gray areas in there. And for each individual person making music, they're going to have to navigate this a little bit and decide for them what they're happy to use as far as AI goes, whether it's a little bit of AI, whether it's none, whether they use it a lot. I feel like this is just going to be such a personal journey for a lot of different producers and artists. Now, every time I make a video exploring some sort of AI tool in music production, someone kicks a sting. They comment like, can't believe you're, pushing this stuff, or you're sharing this stuff. And then, I'm unsubscribing from the channel. Like, maybe if you ever start making good content again, I'll be back. Like, that's fine. Like, everyone's got their own opinions about this stuff. And if you don't enjoy watching that stuff, I don't expect you to. That's totally cool. Now, what I find funny about this is, if you're a professional in this industry, you need to know what this stuff can do. You need to explore this. Even if you don't like it, you at least need to know what it can do so that you can make that decision, whether it's something that you're happy to use in your productions or something that you want to avoid completely. But you shouldn't just put your head under a rock and ignore it, because it's not going away. It's going to be here, and it's going to be a part of music production, whether you like it or not. But you should be aware of what it is, what it can do. And that's why I'm happy to explore these topics on my channel, because while I think some of these tools are really cool, I also think this is very educational as this stuff is rolling out. Now, there are some aspects of AI that I don't particularly like and that I'll probably never use in my productions. But there are some AI tools that I find really helpful and quite useful, particularly things like stem splitters. Logic has its own AI stem splitter built into it now, and there's a lot of cool companies out there that do stem splitting too. But for example, in Logic, I can have someone send me a rough recording of them, record their song straight into the phone, playing the guitar and singing. They can send me that rough demo. I can then split their voice and their guitar using the stem splitter, and then I can use flex time in Logic, and I can snap that performance to a BPM, and then I've got myself a guide track there. And then if I want to get rid of the guitar, I can still keep the vocal in there while I build a song around that. And I've got a guide vocal, and they've never even had to come into the studio. They haven't had to have any special recording gear to lay down a guide. It's just a really cool way that I'm then able to start producing a song without really needing anything crazy to get started. I had someone send me a song to mix, and they were singing while they were playing the guitar. I guess they just didn't realize that their voice was going to get picked up by the mics. But then when they overdubbed their vocals over the top, they said, "Hey, can you get rid of that double track effect that you added to my voice?" And I said, "I didn't add any double track to your voice. That's your voice in the acoustic guitar coming through." And they were kind of like, oh, I didn't realize my voice was getting picked up through the mic while I was tracking. So I used the stem splitter on their acoustic guitar, and I pulled the voice out of the track and fixed that up. That's a really cool way of using AI to solve a problem. Now, there's a lot of AI tools for manipulating vocals, taking a voice and turning it into a different voice. For me, I think of this just as another tool in music production. Now, I know some people don't like this, and they comment on it as if like it's just magically made this AI voice for someone that sounds really great. But I feel like the thing that they don't realize is that you have to have a good vocal performance to start with to get a good result out of manipulating the voice into a new voice. You still have to sing it and perform it, put the character, the pitch, and all of that into it. And then you just convert it and change the sound of the voice. It's not really any different to having like some MIDI notes that you've performed and then just flipping that into a different sound. You know, it's piano and then maybe it's a Rhodes, or maybe you change it into some strings. That's kind of like the same thing that's going on here. And for me, I find these tools really helpful if I'm working on a production where someone wants backing vocals and harmonies, but they don't have all of the layers there. They just want me to kind of create this stuff to put into the production using stuff like Automy, Soundworks, Voice AI, VocoFlex from Dreamtonics. These are just like really cool tools for manipulating vocals into different sounding voices and then even tuning those into different harmony layers. You can create some really cool vocal effects within your productions. And that's something that I do every now and then. It's not something that I use all the time, but it is something that can help in productions when it's needed. And the comments that people leave on videos about that stuff are just ridiculous, where they just say like, you didn't create anything, you've got no talent, you're a no hack. Like, they literally are not getting the point that to use those plugins and those tools, you still have to do a good performance. You still have to have the vocal take. You just change the sound of your voice. It's like, do you complain every time you hear a song on the radio where they've format shifted a vocal? Or do you complain when you hear a little bit of pitch correction used as an effect, or when they use vocal synth, or when they use a vocoder? Like, seriously, tech just keeps changing, and these are just different production tools that you can use. But goodness me, like, people get so bent out of shape about this stuff. They're just living in this like purist mindset where they just forget that music production is very vast and there's so many different ways to use it and so many different genres out there where this stuff can be helpful. I don't know. For me, I just see it as a tool. Some people see it as a hack. Obviously, you got to make your own mind up about this stuff. But in my mind, it's just a tool that you can use for your music production. And look, the people who complain about this kind of stuff are probably the same guys who hate MIDI, they hate drum samples, they hate auto-tune, they hate pitch correction. Like, anything past the point where you've captured the sound with the microphone, if you do anything to manipulate it, you've absolutely destroyed the tone and, you know, it's no longer a pure sound. What about song generators? For me, this kind of gets into a bit of a gray area, because there are definitely use cases for this where it's kind of funny, like people generating silly songs with ridiculous lyrics. Like, I've seen some pretty funny content with that. It's more so when people use these tools to generate songs and act as if they did it, as if they performed it, as if they're the singer, even though they're not singing on it, as if they recorded the parts. That's kind of unethical in my opinion, because you didn't really do anything. It's just a computer generated prompt that's churned something out for you. I don't particularly like that when people are releasing AI music as if it's their own. This is where it's kind of like on the gray side for me, because I've got artists who use applications like Suno to generate ideas off of their demos. So, you know, they've put something into Suno, they put their ideas, their lyrics into it, and then it's created its version of the song based off of what it's put in there. And then they bring that song to me, and then we kind of reconstruct it into an actual production in the studio where we don't actually use the AI stuff, but we go and recreate it in our own way. I kind of find like that's all right. Like, that's just been a tool to help them get some ideas out, and then we've taken it a little bit further ourselves when we've come together in the studio. And I think we're going to see a lot of that in the coming years, where people use this stuff to generate ideas. Like, I recently did that video looking into Moises AI Studio, where you do that kind of thing. You put a demo in there and then it creates music that accompanies that demo. That's cool for just getting ideas and vibes, and then you can take that and then you can re-record it with real instruments, and you can build upon those ideas and take it the next level. But that just helps you get basic foundation to get started. I think that's kind of cool. That's kind of interesting. If that helps an artist get their song to a level where they're happy to step into a studio and then work on it, that's cool. But when you see people generating songs using famous vocalist voices, I've seen stuff where people have generated songs of Ed Sheeran, and then people are commenting on it saying, "Oh, thank you, Ed Sheeran, for writing this beautiful song." And it's like, dude, he didn't write that song. Someone just used his voice to AI generate a song, and they're using his likeness. Like, that's not all right. That's getting pretty unethical in my opinion. So there's definitely some areas with this stuff where it's a hard no, where you're just like, that's not cool. But then there's other areas where I can kind of understand it a little bit. Now, as you can see, it can be quite a gray area. For some people, it's just going to be a hard no. For others, it's all going to be like a hard yes. And then if you're like me, it's going to be kind of like cherry picking the little bits and pieces that you like and want to use. For me, if it's a tool that can help speed up an obnoxious process, for example, like I said, using the stem splitter to create guide tracks where you don't actually have to have the artist come in and like sit down and do a guide track before you get started. You can just take their demo, manipulate it, and away you go. That's pretty cool. If AI ever gets to the point where it can quantize drums, where it can do pitch corrections on vocals and do them well, that's a tool that I'm going to be happy to have around, because that just sort of like gets rid of nitty gritty annoying stuff, and then you can get into the fun mixing side of things. Now, I've heard this argument a lot that using AI is stealing work from other hardworking musicians. And look, the fact is, I just don't believe that, because let's take AI mastering, for example. Like, online mastering has been around forever. Like, it's been around for a really long time before it started getting like the AI label put in front of it. The people who use online AI mastering were probably never going to use a real mastering engineer. Just think about that, because these kinds of services have been around for a really long time. The people who use them, they don't have the budget for a mastering engineer, or they just don't care that much. They were never going to use one. And I just think that's so true. And the people who want to use a mastering engineer will use a mastering engineer. It's just the way it's always been. For me, I'm not seeing any reduction in work in the studio. I'm actually seeing a boost in work in the studio all the time. So to say like AI is stealing jobs from other people, I just don't really buy that argument. Even with like session musicians, you know, like using Suno or whatever to create stems that you can use in your music production. People who want real instruments will always use real instruments. Like, it's no different from generating drums with AI versus programming drums with MIDI. Like, a session drummer was always going to miss out if a person was either going to use MIDI drums or just generate some AI drums. They were never going to pay a drummer to play on the track. So I really feel like that argument is just like really moot, because people who want real musicians will pay for real musicians. People who want real mastering engineers will pay for that stuff. People who don't want to pay for that stuff, we're never going to pay for it. So that also brings me back around to song generators, where you can create instrumental tracks as well. Now, for me, I actually don't really have a huge problem with creating little musical tracks to chuck in the background of videos. I feel like most people who are going to do that are going to just get on Google and search for royalty-free music and grab that stuff and use it. You always hear the same kind of songs in the background of videos, because most people don't have the budget to do licensing. And the people who do have the budget to license music, they're still going to license music. Again, it's just people who were never going to pay for it were never going to pay for it. And the people who do want that stuff and they want to pay for a higher quality thing that is unique to them, they're going to pay for it. So in my opinion, I honestly think exploring AI is really important if you want to be in the music industry over the next like 10 years or whatever, because this stuff is going to be around. Hate it, love it. You need to know what it can do so that you know when someone comes in the studio and they're like, hey, I've got this like thing that I made on Suno. You go, okay, yeah, I understand what's going on here. Like, we can take this, we can use that idea. Or if you're working on a production that needs some extra vocals, maybe it's a female vocalist and they want some male harmonies in the background, well, then you can use something like Soundworks Voice AI to turn some of their vocals into a male voice and tuck them in the background, and you're going to get that effect. These are just tools that you need to know about and understand. I see a lot of people getting hysterical saying, you know, this is the end of art, this is the end of music production, and I just don't see it. I think ultimately too many people are getting worried about what other people are doing. If we're really honest, only a very, very small percentage of people are going to ever be like in the top 40 of music, you know, really making the big bucks from streaming. A lot of us do this because we just love music and we love it as a hobby. And AI can't change that and take that away from you. If you love creating music, just keep doing it. Don't worry if someone else just went and generated a song on an AI song generator. That really doesn't affect you. Just keep creating, do it the way that you want to do it, use the tools that you want to do, and don't worry so much about everyone else around you. Just do what makes you happy and create the music that you want to make. Thank you for listening to my ramblings on this. I did feel like I needed to make a video about AI and kind of like where I sort of sit with this stuff, because I'm going to keep exploring AI on this channel. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm using AI every day in everything that I do, but I want to know about it, I want to learn about it, and I want to be informed about it. And again, I want to hear your thoughts on AI, your stance on it. Please leave some comments below, and remember, keep it friendly and keep it civil. And guys, if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support this channel, well, right now we're in the middle of Black Friday month. There's sales going on left, right, and center, and I have just put a sale up on my store. Pretty much everything is 50% off. Great time to grab some drum sample packs or mixing courses, show some support to the channel, and get something back at the same time. There's a link in the description below. If you're interested in checking out some of those drum samples, then check out this next video coming up.